Hello best learners, this is Mustafa here at Learn with the Best, and we've got a great video for you today. We're going to be looking at the first of Robert Greene's 48 laws of power. Never outshine the master. First, I'm going to define this law for you, and then we'll go over how I outshined my master in the workplace. It really is a crazy story. And then we'll go over a few examples from the book, and finally, we'll finish up with how you can implement this law into your own life for obtaining maximum power. Here's the law. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please or impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite, inspire fear and insecurity. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they actually are, and you will obtain the heights of power. So, once upon a time, after having graduated from my university, I got a very low-paying job at a shipping company. And in the shipping industry, there are many tasks that a person can do with varying levels of difficulty. I was completely new, completely green as they call it, and I had no idea which tasks were supposed to be easy or hard because I really didn't know anything about the industry. I was fresh. I was like a brand new baby chick sprouting from an egg on an industrial farm. So the people in the office, they trained me to do the difficult parts of their jobs so that obviously they wouldn't have to do those things themselves. And I understood this, but I needed the money to survive. So what did I do? I got through it because I had to. Months and months of training, I absorbed all that they had taught me, and eventually I knew all that there was to know about the job. The industry that I worked in has a high turnover rate, so people will be leaving the company all the time, and new people will be coming on all the time. A few years later, I was experienced and proficient at my job. There was an instance when a newbie at the job had asked our manager how to do something, but the manager did not know how to do it. He said he would look into it. I overheard this conversation and I called the newbie over and I trained him on that particular task. Now at the time I didn't even know it, but our manager was fuming. Well, anyway, I'm sure you can guess what happened next. My manager started resenting me because I was not following Robert Greene's first law of power. I was starting to outshine the master, and in this case, my insecure manager. So one day, I got a phone call from my mom. She was frantic and she said that grandma is in the hospital and it does not look like she's going to make it. I went up to my manager and I told him that I had to go and see my grandmother. So how did my manager respond? Did he offer his condolences? Tell me he's sorry to hear the bad news? Oh no. He yelled at me in front of the entire office. He told me that I could go, but our customers were not going to wait for me to come back. Blah, 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 blah. He went on, and I started tuning him out. All I could think about was my grandmother. And after a little bit of him ranting, I just walked out. I went to the hospital and spent what little time I could with my grandmother. The next morning, I called my manager to let him know that I would not be in because I needed to spend as much time as I could with my grandmother and my family. And he fired me right there on the spot over the phone. My grandma passed away later that same day, and since my manager had fired me, I had the right to sue the company. But what my manager did next was so nefarious and cunning, I didn't see it coming because at the time I was not equipped with 48 laws of power. Now, what he did was, he lied. He told his boss, the branch manager, that he never fired me, and he said that instead, I had quit. I remember I was so furious over the way that I was treated by this company, and so I got an attorney and I gave the company not nearly as much help as I had imagined in my own mind. I did not win the case, of course, because, corporations have a lot more money to throw at their lawyers than, me, the little guy. So let's analyze the situation here. What did I do wrong? Back then, I had no idea about Robert Greene's 48 laws of power. I didn't even realize that I was outshining the master. If I could do it all over again, what would I do? Well, I would have learned everything that I could have at the job, but I would not have displayed it. And since I needed the job to pay my bills and survive, I would have tried to make the manager feel as if I were not a threat. I could have gone up to my manager more and asked him fake questions about how to do certain tasks. This way the manager would feel like he's important, even though in reality he's not all that important at all. But this would make him feel secure in his small position of power. And if that were the case, then he never would have been threatened by me, and he would have had no problem letting me have a few days off to see my grandmother. So how can you use this law to your benefit? You, the person that's watching this video right now. If you made it this far into the video, you are likely smart. Smarter than your boss, smarter than your parents, smarter than your peers. So be smart enough to understand not to reveal that fact. Know your standing in every circumstance and stay in the good graces of the people that you need. Now, on the other hand, if you are outshining a person that is not providing your paycheck or the roof over your head, then by all means, continue to outshine those people. You cannot worry about pleasing every single person in your life. Now let's look at a few more examples. But before we do that, I need your help with YouTube's algorithm. Please smash that thumbs up button below, because if you don't, then YouTube is simply not going to show this video to anyone else. Please also subscribe and click on that bell icon, because if you don't, then again, YouTube won't let you know when a new video is uploaded. Your engagement with this video really does help me out a lot. And since I have no sponsors, I'll be my own sponsor. If you, dear viewer, want to transform yourself from a lamb to a lion, then check out my course pinned in the top comment below. I will give you the tools that you need for success, but you have to actually step up and put the work in on yourself. This course is not for everyone, because the majority of the population are sheep, but for those very few of us who want to walk the path of a lion, this is the course for you. Okay, so let's get back into it. Once upon a time, Nicolas Fouquet was King Louis's finance minister, and he was great at his job. He loved throwing glamorous parties, he loved beautiful women, and he was an all-around superstar. So when King Louis's prime minister passed away, Fouquet wanted to be promoted from his current position of finance minister to the elevated position of prime minister. But King Louis decided to completely abolish the position of prime minister instead. And this made Fouquet feel like he was falling out of favor with the king. So what did Fouquet do? He decided he would throw King Louis a party unlike any other in order to gain the king's favor. He invited the most brilliant nobility of Europe and some of the greatest minds that the world had to offer at that moment in time. The party began with a 7-course dinner accompanied with music to honor the king. And after dinner, Fouquet personally accompanied the king through the chateau's wondrous gardens and up to the canals, where they witnessed an amazing display of fireworks. And the night ended with a wonderful play created by Fouquet himself. Now, Fouquet clearly put in a lot of thought and effort into this party in honor of the king. And how did the king react? With a thank you? No. Maybe a promotion to prime minister? Oh, no. Instead, the very next day, Fouquet was arrested by the king's head musketeer, D'Artagnan, and thrown into prison, where he spent the final 20 years of his life. King Louis was a very proud and arrogant man who needed to be the center of attention at all times. He could not stand the idea of being outdone in lavishness by anyone, let alone his own lowly finance minister. Even though Fouquet's intentions were to gain the favor of the king, he managed to achieve the complete opposite. Fouquet had committed the great sin of outshining the master. Now let's look at another example from history with someone who actually used this power to his benefit. Once upon a time, an astronomer named Galileo found himself to be very intelligent and also very poor. In order to live, he depended on the generosity of great rulers to support his work. So, when Galileo discovered the moons of Jupiter, he came up with a new strategy. Instead of appealing to many great rulers, he instead focused only on one of them, the Medicis. In the past, the Medicis believed Jupiter to be a sign of their family's power. And so Galileo turned the discovery of Jupiter's moons into a cosmic event honoring the Medicis. He had discovered only 4 of Jupiter's moons at the time, and so he revealed that the 4 moons of Jupiter were as the 4 Medici brothers, and those 4 moons revolved around the great Jupiter, just as the 4 Medici brothers revolved around their great and amazing father. The Medicis had their backsides thoroughly smooshed and proceeded to make Galileo their official court philosopher and mathematician with a full salary. Does that come with a matching 401k, I wonder? So you see, in one extremely intelligent move, Galileo gained more wealth with this strategy than he had ever earned in the years prior. So in closing, what did we learn from this video? Everyone has insecurities, and you cannot go about your life worrying about outshining everyone. And in fact, you should naturally be outshining most people, most sheep as it were. But again, you should be weary about outshining those who are above you in position, like your boss or your parents. If you like my YouTube content and you want to support me, then please check out my Patreon link pinned in the top comment below. I upload new videos every Friday for my Patreon subscribers that go deeper into my life regarding the 48 laws of power. These videos are a bit more raw and untamed than my usual videos here on YouTube. And if you're a patron of mine already, then I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it's people like you that make all of this truly possible in the first place. I hope you enjoyed this animated video on Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Law number 1, never outshine the master. And remember, you only retain about 10% of what you learn the first time around. So watch this video through a few times and then come back to it again and again in order to really understand and ingrain all of the material into your mind. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.